Hi and welcome to this video today. This is on preparing your bike from winter riding to summer riding. As you can see, this bike's got a brake issue and a puncture. It's got its winter tyres on, its winter mud guards, its oiled winter chain, and we're going to get this ready for summer riding. So initially we take off the group set ready for cleaning, so the chain automatically into the ultrasonic cleaner, which has a water-based degreaser in it. You can see it popping off there. I love that bit when you turn it on and out comes the grease from components. I love that bit when we got fresh liquid in there. So derailleur's off. You can see the jockey wheels are thick with mud, which you do get in the winter if you're oiling a chain and not running through the winter with a wax chain. So at the moment we're just taking the derailleur off. I never like to put the jockey wheels in a degreaser because one of those jockey wheels does have bearings in it and it can really take out all that grease from the bearings. I don't like to do that, so that's gone in, and then the cassette goes in there. This is the front derailleur coming off. This one's actually a braze on derailleur but with a clamp on fitting, so that's straight into the ultrasonic cleaner there. Jiggling things around there to get them all in. Next up we take the chain set off. This is an Ultegra based bike. It's a well used bike. We've serviced this several times, this bike, and it is a well used bike through the winter. And although the owner does keep it well lubricated and sorted out naturally with salt on the roads, it soon deteriorates through a winter with a bike. So this is the rear brake that's currently seized. It's not releasing. You can see I had to pull that apart with two hands to get it open, so that's straight in the ultrasonic cleaner. Off with the mud guards. You know, some people have these mud guards where they can be reused each year. These are a little bit on their last legs now. There's a couple of little breaks in them, but we'll give them back to the customer and he can decide whether he's going to reuse them next year. Off comes the old front brake there, and you can see that one's free enough but it needs cleaning. And off comes the front mud guard. Get rid of those for the summer. No one likes riding with mud guards, let's be honest. So off comes the wheels, and now we're just using the soap spray. This sort of agitates the dirt on the frame and gets it wet and helps us to clean it off. So we do this with the frame, the components and everything else. So down the forks there. Then we use a nylon brush. Although this is it shows a certain amount of our detailing, we've got other videos with our detailing work. This wasn't about a frame detail for this bike, it was about service and getting it summer ready. So that included waxing the chain, changing the tyres for dry weather tyres from the gripped tyres that he had on there, removing the mud guards, etc., so that it's ready for the summer weather. So yeah, and obviously sorting out that back brake. So obviously with this one we haven't changed the cables because all the cables were right. They're our own stainless steel super slick cables that we fit, which we fitted in a previous service, so they didn't need replacing. So the fact that this isn't a full out detail, we've left those in this time. And you can see we're working that nylon brush down all the parts. I prefer using a nylon brush to a sponge or to a rag because you can work in things like the weld, you can work into smaller areas with a brush. And then we start drying it off now, so that's had a nice soak clean, and we're using microfiber towels. They're nice, they soak up the water very quickly and they're nice and soft, so you don't do any more damage to the frame. This frame actually has been to war and back. It's got an awful lot of marks on it, but it is what it is. The rider loves this bike and uses it many winters, many summers. So yeah, so we're cleaning that off now. And then although this wasn't a full-on detailing, we have still used a little a blow over with the T-cut to wipe off some of the marks that are on there from the winter. Obviously you get a lot of salt on the roads through the winter and it can really get ingrained and mat off a frame, and the marks tend to get into it a lot quicker and easier. So we're just polishing that off now, and then we use Auto Glim high resin polish. This just puts a nice, gets the road film off but puts a nice protection onto the frame. And again, we love our microfiber towels. There's two different colours gone on there, and the yellow one before, so that's 3 we've used already on this bike. Yeah, we're giving that a clean now. So that's the frame almost done, and now we just start to get the parts, because we leave these running while we're doing the frame. These are now coming out the ultrasonic cleaner and we're just drying them off initially. The cassette was in a bit of a state. I think it might be a Dura-Ace cassette on this one, which full titanium, because there didn't seem to be any differences between each cog, and they've gone rusty, which is a sign of the titanium ones. So I've got a feeling that might be a Dura-Race on the rest of the bike being Ultegra. But anyway, so we give this a clean up now. This is again our sponge cleaner, our soap cleaner, before we start washing them down. So yeah, everything's now washed with soapy water. And again, we use our nylon brush to really get in there. You can see these parts are really coming up lovely. You know, the ultrasonic cleaner gets in deep, and then with nice soapy water, that brings everything off there nicely. Yeah, we're just working through the parts now and washing off basically the degreaser. It's a water-based degreaser we use. This is the rear brake that are corroded, so we're just cleaning off the corrosion there on one of the pivot points. And then we're moving on to the chain. Because this chain is going to be waxed, we pay a lot of attention to this. We're using a brass bristle brush here to really work into that chain, and you can see that is shiny, so it's spotlessly clean, ready for waxing. And then onto the chain set here with some soapy water, and yeah, he uses flat pedals, this chap, because he doesn't use clip-ins. He uses this for various things and is on and off of it all the time, so he's not got clip-in pedals on this. And yeah, it's controversial I suppose with road bike users, but this is more of a daily grinder bike. Yeah, he still wants to look smart in the summer without his mud guards and everything, so we're just working on that cassette. And yeah, it didn't come up brilliantly. I was a little bit disappointed with this cassette on this clean. You'll see when we put it back on, there's some marks on it that I just couldn't get off, but ultimately it's clean, you know. So corrosion and marks sometimes you just cannot clean off. That is the nature of aging group sets. Yeah, so now we're doing the jockey wheels. Although we're getting these wet, obviously it's not as in depth as when you're putting it through the ultrasonic cleaner, so the bearings will still stay lubricated with their own grease through doing that. Giving the old pedal armour spruce up. So most of this now is ready to go back on the bike, so we'll begin to rebuild the bike shortly. This is the chain set. This is a 10-speed bike, so yeah, it's a few generations back now, but still doing the job daily, and it's got many years, months, whatever left in it for riding. And yeah, I always enjoy doing older bikes like this, to be honest with you. I'm a bit of a retro lad at heart. Although we all love the whistles and bells of modern cycling, sometimes it's fun just doing an older one. This is going into the wax now, and you'll see it really fizz and bubble in a second. So you can see it there. That's all the air coming out of each of the links, because it's a hollow linked chain. And yeah, once that stops bubbling like that, we know it's waxed, and I just hang it. And then while that's just cooling, because that wax is boiling hot, while it's cooling, I'd now just start on the rest of the bike. So we're removing his winter tyres, Schwabies. Get those off, he can keep those in his garage for next year. And we use now soap spray again on the rims and on the spokes, hubs, etc. And then we're using our nylon brush again and just washing that off. This technique just works, you know. It's just proven for us, it just works. We can get in all the nooks and crannies far easier with a nylon brush. So we're giving the old hub a clean up now. I think they're Planet X wheels, these, and they're actually nice wheels. The spokes on those are all stainless steel, and because they're not black, they haven't tarnished off, and the bearings all felt good. And actually they were, yeah, they're really good wheel, those ones. Vision, it says on there, yeah, which I think is a Planet X brand. Not sure on that one, but anyway, they're a nice wheel, those. So in goes the inner tubes, give them an inflation. That's ready to go on the bike now. So we just grease the free hub body there, ready for the cassette, and on she goes. Give that a torque up at the end. We torque everything, you know, everything's got a torque rating, and yeah, just a little bit of copper slip on the end of that thread there so it never seizes. And on that wheel goes, so the rear wheel's now on nicely. And then we start putting the group set back on, so rear derailleur, mounting torqued, in goes the cable. Even these pinch bolts on the cables all have a torque rating, and you can see I'm torquing that one up there. Pinch bolts on the brakes and the gears have a torque rating. And now on goes the crankset. We torque up that pedal arm. On goes the front derailleur. And I think this has had its gearing changed at some point, because you can see that mark on the frame there. That's where that would have originally been, when probably a tooth or two less on that large chainring. So now this is the rear brake that was seized. We've obviously now cleaned that in the ultrasonic cleaner. We've given that a little lubrication there, and you can see it's starting to free up. And it's often the rear one that seizes. I mean, given the front wheels going around as well, it's always the rear one that seizes. So in goes its cable, and that's ready to go through the summer. We've got the summer tyres on there, and torque that up. On goes the front brake. So it's just a rhythm and a you know, smoothness with building bikes back up. You just have to go through your rhythm. You never forget anything, and then they go back together nicely. So we're putting the front wheel on now, making sure the directional tyres are pointing the right way, torquing up everything, and now we're onto the chain. You can see this goes rock hard, so we break that on a little tube that we've got. So it breaks up all the wax and gives you the movement back in the chain. And then we're using molten speed wax power powder, wiping everything through. And on goes the chain. We have done another video on waxing of chains, which we'll put a link to, and that's a controversial video. It's always interesting to watch that one on molten speed wax chain waxing. And the final part of the job is to just give that a nice clean, like final clean wipe over with our silicone detailer. Just puts a nice film on the bike, and it presents it well.